Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 713 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Wayne Pickering, and you know, this guy was supposed to be dead before his 30th birthday. And as far as I know, he's not dead. So somehow he beat it, and he's going to talk to us about that today. He's a doctorate in naturopathy and theology and natural science. He's got a master's degree in nutrition, and I'll tell you a whole bunch more about him as soon as we bring him on. I hope you didn't miss episode 711. That was cell phone tips. Now, I didn't do one of these for a while, but you know, I want you working with customers and prospects and making money, not fighting with your technology. So you got to learn this stuff, and there's so many things these cell phones will do. And I put a whole bunch of back episodes. And if you just did a few of the tips and tricks, you'll be so much faster and not fighting with your phones and tablets. You'll be taking care of customers and making money. All right, make sure you follow me on TikTok at tiktok.com/@digitalmultimillionaire. And I've got one video that's about 620,000 views so far and still climbing. And the videos there are really short. So I probably have 200 plus short training videos that you can go take advantage of. So check that out. All right, make sure you pick up a copy of our automation ebook at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And again, if you just did a portion of what's in this ebook, you would save hundreds of hours into the future. It's crazy not to do this stuff. So pick your copy up at screwthecommute.com/automate free. All right, let's get to the main event. We got Wayne Pickering here. I've known him for many, many years, and he would make pretty much everybody on here embarrassed to see their stomach compared to his because it's unbelievable. This guy's got an 8-pack, I think, not a 6-pack. But anyway, he's a nutritional performance coach, lifestyle management consultant, and disease prevention specialist who teaches people how to be the healthiest person on the planet and not the wealthiest person in the grave. All right. Now, I think he must be related to Muhammad Ali or something with his sayings and stuff. But he's got a focus on nutrition and basic philosophy. And his basic philosophy is if you want to be tough, you have to eat good stuff. So you can get older and better and not old and bitter. All right. So there we go. So Wayne, are you ready to screw the commute?
I am, man. Listen, hey, screw all that. Fix this, fix that, fix this, fix that. Let's be proactive with our lifestyle so that we can get on with it and be totally healthy for life.
Well, I want you to tell everybody, you know, because this is an entrepreneurial podcast and we're, you know, mostly about business, but you can't really do your business that well if you're not healthy. So tell us why you should bother with the things that you teach.
Well, very simple. Most people give up their health in their quest for wealth, only to spend all that wealth to regain their health. And then when you die, something very significant happens to you, buddy. Your brother-in-law gets to drive your car.
You sure you're not related to Muhammad Ali?
Let me tell you this, Tom. 2% of all of the people in this world think logically for themselves. 8% think in pain and suffering, and 90% would rather die than think. The fact that our listeners are hearing what you and I are going to do today suggests to me that they're in that 2%. And I'll qualify that. Dr. Lester Breslow, he's the dean of the School of Public Health out in Los Angeles, California, says that if you'll just change your lifestyle from a bad one to a better one, you can add as much as 20 years to your life. So for you to come in and spend 30 minutes to 40 minutes here with Tom and myself today to go ahead and learn how to add years to your life, that's a great, great hats off to you. And I got gifts for you today. We'll get to all that as we go.
Well,
for being a member of that 2%.
Well, beautiful. But let me ask you something. I've heard many, many instances where people had, I don't know, heart transplant, bypass surgeries, all kinds of stuff. And then they don't change their lifestyle after even going through that kind of trauma. So how do people how do you get them motivated to make a change?
Well, that's what we're all about here today with our conversation. I've learned this here. Nobody likes change except a wet baby.
See, I know Muhammad Ali's going to.
See, here's something here that's also good. Here's what keeps me motivated. Do you know, if let's say people who have insurance, do you know that just last year over 700,000 people declared bankruptcy because they had to sell their homes just to pay their health bills?
Mm.
So the big print giveth and the small print taketh away. And healthy people have lots of goals. Unhealthy people only have one goal. And I was so fed up with being sick constantly. I was supposed to die before I was 30.
Yeah, what's that about?
Okay, good. I had gout so bad. I had cancer on my right lip. I was wounded in the Vietnam War in my third term working with the Navy SEAL team. And a mortar came in and just, boy, did they say it's Hollywood, Tom, when you're flying through the air. When a mortar comes in, no, you're going to be flying through the air, believe me. Golly, I was shocked. So here's the point. Healthy people have lots of goals. Unhealthy people only have one goal, and that's to get well. But here's a good line to be living by. Things in life just don't happen. They happen justly. And there's 9 components that's going to keep you healthy for life. Tom, when you and I first met, we were members of the National Speakers Association. And when I was president here in Florida, I had you to come on down and speak to our Jacksonville chapter, and you came down to the house and all that. But the whole point is this: what we do is, I love the speaking platform. And when I was at one of the NSA's conventions, I was in the main hallway there, and there was a guy. His name was Bobby Giles. He was from Montgomery, Alabama. You know how they talk over
Mm-hmm.
there. And so he says, Doc, I heard you speak the other day, buddy. He said, we got to have you come over to Alabama and do something. I got you booked for 14 speaking engagements in a 12-day period. Are you interested? I said, sure. So he said, they're in a different town. So here's where I'm going with that point. That every town, I was in one town doing an afternoon gig. I had to tear the stage down, drive to the next town, get it all set up, and do that. I did that, but there was one thing they all had in common. They were always coming up to me after and say, Doc, you make a lot of sense up there, buddy. He said, you think I can get me a new start on life? I said, a new start? I said, yes. I said, I'm going to play with that word. And here's the 9 components that you need to embrace to be totally healthy, to get that new start on your life. Here it is. Write down on your page a new start acronymically, and each letter has a different component to being healthy: attitude, nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, tenacity, air, rest, and temperance in all we do. And what heads the list there is attitude. So here's a little poem for you to be thinking about when you're embracing or even thinking about being healthy. If we have enough fortitude to develop an attitude of sincere gratitude for our body's magnitude, we will have an aptitude to reach a higher latitude for an ultimate altitude. Dude. so,
I got that memorized already. Yeah.
so what we need to do is get the attitude about being healthy. You cannot drug yourself to being healthy. You may appease the condition for a little while, but it'll escalate into bigger things unless we make the necessary changes. And once again, nobody likes change except a wet baby. And we've been in this business now for 46 years as of October the 2nd, this recent year. And it's just been a delightful pleasure to do all the podcasts that we do, all the TV, all the radio. I mean, everything that we're doing to get the message out there to show people that, hey, you can be healthy. And there's a difference between healing and curing. And the people just don't know how to be healthy. And that's what our passion is. So,
I'll bet you've saved a lot of lives that you don't even know about.
well, what you said, and we have thousands and thousands of testimonies, all with videos, audios, written form. I'm amazed at how many written letters we have. And this is one of the philosophies that I do. You've got to be grateful. You have to show gratitude for everything you have. If you cut your hand, you bleed. And if you go ahead and you put a little salve on there and you put a band aid on it, then you're going to come back about a week later and look at that. I mean, well, you're going to be looking at your hand all the time anyway. But then a week later, you can take the band aid off. Eventually, the scab will come off and get a little scar tissue. You know that, and I know that, and the audience knows that. So the point with that analogy is this: we're healthy automatically by design and sick only by default. So, what we need to be thinking about is feeding our minds, since the attitude heads the list. It's the most important. We need to feed our minds with good things. Forget all this garbage, man, that's going on. One of the things that I like about your podcast and everything that I've watched you do and heard you do over the many years that you and I've been friends, that we have to feel good about ourselves, man, and have to feed ourselves good things like in our minds, then the nutrition, and then you got to be fit because when you're through moving, you're through. Got to be active. So feed yourself this positive statement as many times as you can. Here it is. I am now 100% totally free of all aches, pains, stress, and disease.
That's
Back to you, buddy.
is that called an affirmation?
Yes.
And is that one of the things that you advise people to do to stay motivated?
Well, here's what I do. I have a grateful list. And in our series that we do on living a life of no regrets, I mean, I was suicidal twice. I went through some horrific times, heart disease. I've been in hospitals and all that. And I said, wait a minute. When everything happened precisely at the moment in time that I needed it the most, and every major event that I had in my life that was life threatening was it led me to somebody who was meaningful and needed to be in my life at that time, and they were the ones that helped me the most. So one of the things that I teach my audiences: show gratitude, be grateful. And here's a little lesson that I'm going to be teaching the audience when we come back and do the living a life of no regrets, how to hoist the flag in your life. And when you take the word flag, you're going to do FLAG, and the G is gratitude. And write down 3 things every day that you're grateful for that you haven't been grateful for before. And what I did is I did that. I bought that little calendar, Tom, that has 2 days on one side, 2 days on another. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
little book. And so I every morning. Now here's another lesson. Your mind, it's in its most alpha state when you're the most receptive to good things for the 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night when you wake up and when you go to sleep at night. That's the power of of prayer, by the way. And I'm not a religious guy. I can't stand all that. I'm very spiritually connected and not religiously confined. So what I did is I woke up every morning and I wrote down 3 things that I was grateful for that I haven't been grateful for before. And eventually I got 2 years of that done, 2 on each page. And you can't say the same gratitude for the same thing any of those days. You got to be grateful for 3 things each day that you were grateful for that you weren't grateful for before. So I put them up on my bookshelf here. And as I was sitting back coaching a client this one day on our Gold Inner Circle membership, Mango Man Gold is what it's all about. And as we were talking, it seemed like those 2 books come out and slapped me in the face. What did you do this for? So I reached up there and picked the books out. And when we got through of our coaching call, I said, I am going to record these. I put my favorite music behind it, and I would record those 3 grateful things that I was grateful for on that day. And each of those days became a track. I put those in one of my computers in my home, and I listen to my grateful list every single day. So we have to be grateful for our ability to bounce back.
I'll bet you I know
And
what you put on yesterday.
I can't wait to hear it.
Your new cell phone.
Hey, you're right. Oh, don't tell nobody about
Oh,
that now.
no.
Let me tell you too, Tom, how special we really are, man. This is a grateful. Do you know? Did you have a one-shot lubricating system in your body, and there's nothing else like it. I mean, you cannot buy a car without putting radiator fluid in one hole, battery fluid in another, oil in another hole, windshield whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put the food in your mouth, it's all done for you. So you have a one-shot lubricating system. Nothing is more unusually wonderful than that. Now, nothing exceeds your hand in dexterity, man. You look at that hand and you can do all kinds of things with it. Nothing exceeds the hand with its dexterity and everything you can do. Your fingernails grow at exactly the same rate as the way the earth plates move. And do you know that if all 600 muscles of our bodies pulled together in one direction, Tom, that we could lift as much as 25 tons?
Jeez.
I mean, we're special. There's every day our blood travels 168 million miles, man. And that's 6,720 times around the globe. So you're special. You need to be treating yourself. And I'll conclude on this. Did you know that every 2 to 3 days we have a whole new lining in our mouth? Every 5 days, all our intestinal linings are renewed. Our respiratory every 11 days is all renewed. Every 15 days, our new white blood cells. We got 120 days, all new red ones. 6 months, we got a whole new bloodstream. Every 11 months, we have all new cells. Every 2 years, we've got a whole new bone structure. And every 7 years, we got a brand new body. So if that's true, then why do we die? Because our bodies deteriorate a little bit. If you go ahead and take a video, God forbid we buy videos anymore, right? But if you take a video, remember back in the day, and you make a copy of it, now you're going to put the original away. Now you're going to take the first copy and make a copy from that. So you're going to put the first copy away and use the second copy. Then you're going to make a copy of the second copy and go through that 10 times. Notice the 10th edition is dismal at best. So all this time that the body renews itself, if we're not going to put the best things in our body, we're going to escalate the death process very quickly. So why bother? Do you know what? Even at your worst, you're wonderful. So think of yourself as somebody very special and show gratitude for who you really are.
All right. Now you say we have options. What do you mean by that?
Options. Well, to me, the options is very simple. You've got the fitness tips that you can do. You've got podcasts that you can listen to that are related to health. You've got all kinds of things to be going in your life. So the couple things that I would like to share with you on this options. Here's the thing that keeps me motivated so much to be healthy. Go to since I'm a war veteran, I go to these VFW nursing homes from time to time, and sometimes, when you get a little older, you got friends that's in nursing homes or hospitals or whatever, assisted living, and this is amazing. So when you've got options, you've got things like what we're doing, and I think we're just lucky to have the option. For example, there was a little girl across the street from me that hurt herself, and they were not taking healthy habits in their life. And she died at 54, and she was in a wheelchair for 52 years. And to me, we're lucky to have the options. And if you think that what you're going to do is go to a hospital and get well, that's not the purpose there. You're going there to get care. You go home to get well.
No, you go there to keep the doctors in their new Mercedes.
Oh, gosh, don't you know? It's so true, really. Well, we're lucky to have the option. And if you think you're going to go to one of those hospitals and get a good meal, you've got another thing coming. The food is a joke. I was shocked. And to me, if we go ahead and think about, people are watching way too much television. Okay, I know you and I remember the Peter Lowe series. Remember them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I went to see because Zig Ziglar and I go way back, and I heard Zig was going to be, oh, and I've heard him do those live performances quite a bit, but he had Paul Harvey also on the stage with Zig Ziglar, Paul Harvey, Dan Kennedy, Mary Lou Retton, and a bunch of other people. So when Paul Harvey came out, I'll never forget this. Paul Harvey walked out there. Hello, fellow Americans. Paul Harvey, stand by for news. Mary Ellen has no gallbladder trouble. She just gave birth to an 8-pound baby boy. What a surprise to her. She didn't know she was pregnant. What a surprise to her husband. She didn't know he didn't know she was pregnant. And now what a surprise to her physician who diagnosed her with gallbladder trouble. Page 2. He said, fellow Americans, there's more great things going on in our country than you can imagine. He said, there's more good things that come into our boardroom every day. He said, over 90% of that. He said, there's just no way we can print it because people don't want to hear great things. If it doesn't bleed, it doesn't read. And then I added a line to this. If it doesn't bleed, it doesn't read, and it doesn't lead. So you got to take care of yourself now, because if you don't, somebody else will be taking care of it later. And it is such an unfortunate thing for people to come in there. There was a lady that used to come into the fellow next door. He wanted to die in his home, but his wife wouldn't let him, and nobody else would let him. So they put him in a hospital, and he died in there. But he wanted to die home, and she used to come in. She says, "Hey, Kurt, do you want a wee wee, honey?" I mean, here's a man with such dignity and such accomplishment in his life. He used to respect me so much, and he would take me and show me a lot of his trophies and everything, when he was doing all what he was doing. And it was a pleasure. But you're lucky to have the option to be healthy. And that's what we're all about, teaching you how to be totally healthy for life. And we'll come back and talk about the 4 things that money will never buy. Okay, Tom, but back to you.
Yeah, we're going to take a brief sponsor break, and that's exactly what I was going to say. There's 4 things you never buy. I could think of a lot of things I would never buy, maybe like a ballerina outfit or tutu, but I'm sure you're going to tell us some other stuff.
Oh boy, yeah, good one.
So, folks, I don't know, about 25 years ago or so, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head in that people at my level were charging 50 or 100 grand up front to teach this stuff. And I knew a lot of these people. You give them 50 grand up front, you'd never see them again. They'd be hiding out in Vietnam somewhere to stay away from helping you. So I said, I'm going to turn that on its head. So I kind of made them mad in that I just charged an entry fee, and then I tied my success to your success. So for me to get my 50 grand, you had to net 200 grand. Well, people kind of like this idea, and they knew I wouldn't disappear on them. And 1,800 students later, the program's still going strong. It's the longest running, most successful, most unique ever in the field of internet and digital marketing. You have an immersion weekend here at the Retreat Center in Virginia Beach. We have a TV studio for you. Everything is one-on-one. We don't lump you in with people more advanced or less advanced with you. And you also get a scholarship to my school, which is the only licensed, dedicated internet and digital marketing school in the country that you can either use yourself or gift to somebody. I mean, this one guy that was in the program had spent $80,000 on his daughter's crappy education, and she's working a terrible job. He gifted the school to her, and within 4 months, she was making $6,000 a month and now has her own internet marketing agency. So very powerful stuff, the digital world. So check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. And I'll be glad to, there's no, machine gun nest here forcing you into anything, no high pressure. If you can't see the value of it, that's cool. It's not going to change my lifestyle a bit, but might change yours, but all right. All right, let's get back to Mango Man, Dr. Wayne. And what are these 4 things besides ballerina tutus that I probably shouldn't buy?
Well, you can buy 2 of them.
I'm not sure two of them would even fit.
Well, here's a good lesson, man, that I'd learned in my tender years, okay? There are 4 things we'll never buy in life: our spirituality, our integrity, our health, and our time. The spirituality, I'm very well connected. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very spiritually connected and not religiously confined. When I was a health minister in our church for 3 years, I told my pastor, I said, Bill, I'm out of here. Oh, where are you going, buddy? I can't handle any more of this negativity going on. It was just really bad. So, but the whole point is this: that's one thing we'll never buy, our spirituality. The second one is our integrity. It takes you years to build and seconds to destroy. And man, when it's gone, it's always going to be in the thought of people when you're back on the scene, so to speak. Okay. So maintain your integrity. If you say you're going to do something, do it. When Tom has mentioned that, you're going to have this, you're going to have that, it's a done deal. I have no problem with what Tom is doing. He and I have always respected each other not only our integrity, but for what we do. And the third one that we'll never buy is our health. Health is a gift, and we're in total charge of our health. Disease is actually our friend when you think about it. It tells you, hey, stop what you're doing. You're doing something wrong. Let's get back on track here. So I say never treat disease, treat the problem, or treat the cause, I should say, okay? And when you look back, say, okay, what did I do? Now I have a personal not grateful, but a personal ailments list in my life. And if something I can't eat, then I just write it down because I eat the best food, okay? But too much of a good thing is always a bad thing. So moderation is very crucial. And there's some foods that I just can't consume that are very, very good for you. So what I do, the 4 things that money will never buy, those are the first 3: our spirituality, our integrity, our health, and our time. So let's talk about time. The most important piece of advice that I can share with you here is this: chunk out your time. As if you have loved ones living with you, then make sure that you schedule your personal development time because, as we've all learned, you're the most important person in your life. As without you, life goes on without you. Well, can you imagine? So let's say you're 50 years old and and when I talk about you're 50, we've only got 24 hours in a day. Okay, that's it. 24 hours, not 23.7, not 24 and a half, 24 straight hours. That's all we've got, and pretty soon it's all over. So let's say you're 50 years old and you die at maybe 80. Okay, that gives you 30 years. All right. So what we need to do is we got to chunk out that time, and there's 4 areas of that time that I talk about. Our genius time, that's your most important, and you can only be that for about 4 hours a day, and for about 5 days a week. Your buff time, BUFF, that's which is your fine tuning time, your preparation time to get you ready for your genius time. Excuse me, your free time to do with what you want. I call it our brain candy. And of course, our rest time. That's our recuperation time. So here's how I chunk out our 24 hours here. From 6 to 10 in the morning is my personal development time. Get go time, I call it. That's our buff time. And the 10 to 2, that's our work time, our peak performance time. You can, and that buff time, I call it, is 1 hour of genius and 3 hours of buff. So our 2 to 6, that's our wind down time, 2 to 3 every day. If you want to add 1 hour to your waking life, here's how you do it. You sleep 6 straight hours at night and 1 in the day, and that's better than sleeping 8 straight. So you actually get to add 1 hour to your waking life. So take some time in the day to take a rest, a little bit of, like a nap. So then from 3 to 5, that's work. or in town that I need to do errands or go to office places and banks and whatever. And so then in the evening, 5 to 6, that's my evening meal. That's your buff time, and 6 to 11, that's your peak creative time, and that's that's and I like to socialize. So we need to start chunking out our time to where we can be very productive with what we're passionate about. And here's my take on life very simply. If we honor God, serve our fellow man, creating a service out of what we're genuinely passionate about so that everybody who is involved in that service has equal opportunity gain, then we win. And Tom, you're a master at that. And what you had to say a little while ago is so true.
What about
So
the
I want
tutus, you mean?
so what I want people to be thinking about is when you retool your life with your what ifs, and I mean, those what ifs. Well, what if I do this one? No, then they become your what is. One of our tools that we help people with, Health at Last, healthatlast.com. And I got something very special for our listeners tonight, or today, rather, I should say, that I'm going to give away just because it's you, Tom. I've never done this before. When
Beautiful.
you go to healthatlast.com, that's going to be, do you remember Jack LaLanne, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had him. He was a great friend of mine for the last 17 years of his life. And Dr. Ken and Mickey Thomas, Dr. Lori Ann Law. I mean, just so many great, great people have been on that. And I'm going to give them an hour of personal coaching. And it's all on that website. There's over $600 worth of goods on that they get for $98. And we're going to give them something I've never done before, but I'm going to do it for your audience. I've got 195 short 2 to 3 minute, 5 minute audio tracks of our whole series that took us years to do. And this $840 value, we're going to give that all away free when they get that healthatlast.com. So we're going to get over $1,400 worth of goods just for being on your episode here today, Tom.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. Now,
Yeah.
how do they get a
Thanks.
hold of you?
Mangoman at mangoman.com. We've branded the Mango Man, we've trademarked it, and I'm so blessed, Tom, that we even have a mango named after us. It's called, really, and it's been in existence for almost 15 years. And it's all over the world. It's called the Pickering. If you YouTube Pickering Mango, or if you just, my YouTube site is themangoman.com, themangoman.com. Excuse me. And they'll get, there's a video in there of me that shows you how the Pickering mango came to be.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So mangoman at mangoman.com. If you want to dial us and talk to us a little bit, 1-866-mangoman.com.
I'm going to try to get a watermelon named after me.
Yeah, I love watermelons, man. And as a matter of fact, one of my recipes that we give away is melon out.
How do you
And
spell that?
yeah, I'll give you a little recipe real quick. If you take a whole watermelon, a whole cantaloupe, and a whole honeydew melon, you cut the watermelon in half and then in quarters. You're going to take a quarter of it. You're going to put in your blender. You're going to take a quarter of the honeydew and a quarter of the cantaloupe. You put those in after you get the seeds out and everything. And you blend that up. That makes 2 quarts. And I do that for the entire bit. And I've got 2 refrigerators, one in the kitchen and one in the garage. And I put 4 in the coldest part of each of those refrigerators. That way they don't oxidize that much. And I take one of those out when they're in season. When you and I come back and do the science of nutrition, they're going to have all of this in order about what are the things they need to be doing about their nutrition and how to eat and when do we eat and how do you do this and how do you do that. Very simple. So I have one of those to start my day when they're in season.
I
Don't eat
suspect you
foods
don't
if they're
put the
not in season.
rinds. You don't put the rinds, I guess, right?
That's correct.
That's
Yes.
good. You got to be real clear with recipes with me. One time I
Oh,
tried
you'll
to,
love that one,
I
Tom.
tried to make low-fat Thousand Island dressing in a blender, and they expect that you know too much when you look at these recipes, because they neglected to tell me to put the lid on the blender. I sprayed the whole ceiling.
Oh boy, if I was there, I'd slap the witch,
Yeah.
the switch on you. You know what I mean?
All right, man. So we got all these things. Don't worry, folks. They'll be in the show notes for Dr. Wayne. And hey, thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Let me just say this in conclusion, okay?
Yep.
We are in total charge of our minds. You're a beautiful person with a special and unnegotiable self-worth, and you own 100% stock in the blue chip corporation. Never forget that. So never sell your stock cheap. What you got to do is think of this. Never give up your health, as I mentioned to begin with, in your quest for wealth, because you will, not maybe, you will spend all that wealth to regain your health. And as I said, when you die, your brother-in-law gets to drive your car. And always think of this. Your past may be blemished, but your future is spotless. Healthatlast.com. Back to you, Tom.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. So, and all of this stuff relates to your business. If you're sick, if you're not feeling well, if you don't have energy, you can't do your business. You can't even try to get wealth if you don't have any of that stuff. So, okay, thanks so much, and we'll catch everybody on the next episode. We'll see you, Dr. Wayne.